Greetings and welcome to PinballHelp. Mike here. Today I want to talk about something different. I'm trying to do more different videos, and I'm going to talk about a fun way to play pinball that you may not be familiar with. Obviously, you can play pinball with other people, and it's like whoever gets the high score, and there's different kinds of variations that you can do where you've got like a four-player game and you've got two people playing against each other, two other people. Some pinball machines have like features where you can add up the scores and stuff like that. But here's an interesting competitive pinball game where you can play and you can offer a handicap. So if you're playing against somebody who's less experienced or more experienced, you can actually have a good fair game by allowing them a little bit of an advantage or disadvantage depending upon how good they are. And you can still have a fun competitive game because it's kind of, if you own a game and you invite some friends over, that game, you're going to kick everybody's butt, right? But there are some ways you can play pinball that make it a lot more fun regardless of whether or not everybody is on the same leveling playing field. And I'm going to talk about one of them, one of our favorite games, which is a very team-oriented kind of thing, too. Pinball tends to be mano a mano, person against person. There's not really a lot of cooperation on it. But what I'm going to teach you is a way of playing where it can be cooperative and it can have handicaps, and that's called pin golf. Now, many people in the competitive scene are familiar with pin golf because they use it in some tournaments, but there's a lot more different ways you can play it than just the sanctioned tournament approaches. So I'm going to talk about pin golf. It's where you basically combine pinball and golf, and I'll talk about what that is. So first I'll show you here in our arcade. On some of the games, we have these little things on the front. You'll see right down here. We've got actually like a little par marker here. This is Card Whiz, which is a two-player version of Royal Flush. And you'll see down here, there's a pin golf card. And in this case, you can also have different tiers. We just use one tier. And see, it says 50,000 right there. So what that means is that is the par for the game. Now, if you're not familiar with golf, golf is a game where each hole you shoot to try to put the ball in the hole, right? And the hole is rated at a par. That's the number of strokes, the number of attempts that you get to hit that ball before that they expect you to make it in. So if a hole is a par 2, then you're expected to, a good player should be able to make the ball in 2 strokes, 2 shots. And you get scored based on how many strokes you have to take, right? Now in pool, there's all kinds of extra, there's bogeys and eagles and stuff like that for whether you do 1 under par or over par. We don't have to worry about any of that. We're going to talk about how this applies in pinball, right? So in pinball, the par is going to be the objective, okay? Whereas in golf, it's the number of strokes. But in pin golf, we're going to use the number of strokes as our score in pin golf. So the way this works is each game has a par. In the case of Card Whiz, it's 50,000 points. So each stroke in pin golf is a ball. So what you want to do is you want to hit 50,000 points in as few balls as possible. So this works great on these older games where you can set it on 5-ball play. Now the way we typically do our pin golf is a maximum of 7 strokes or 7 balls. So if you hit 50,000 on your first ball, then your score is 1. If it takes 2 balls, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. We count up to 7. If you hit 7, that's the maximum, and your score is just 7, and you move on. You give up. So the best score you can have on any one machine, which is our word for a hole, is going to be 1. The worst score is 7. So if you're playing, say, a tournament where you've got 5 machines, the best score is going to be 5, and the worst score is going to be 35, right? So that's how basically you play. Now you don't have to have, the par doesn't have to be necessarily a score. For example, on Card Whiz, the par could be you got to get all the targets down. Of course, that works better on, say, a wedge head where the targets may not necessarily reset between balls. This is not necessarily a good game to do that, but that could still be a thing. You have to knock all the targets down on a single ball, and that could be the par. That might be a little bit harder, you know. There's a number of different kinds of objectives you can have, and you could have tiers. You could have a different par, like 50,000 could be for regular players. For experienced players, it could be you've got to get a royal flush, you know, which is knocking all the targets down. So every game can have its own unique kind of objective, and you can set the objectives based on how much skill is involved or whatever. Now, it's usually generally, you know, if you're playing against relatively skilled people, the par should be score-wise about what you might win a game on. If it's a wider array of people, you want a little bit lower pars, and it just balances it out. Once you get a chance, once you get a feel for playing it, you learn a little bit more about it. So, based on our people and the events we run, 50,000, which is not, it's easily attainable on one ball for sure. But most people can hit this without going over 5 balls. Now, what happens if after you're playing a 5-ball game and then the game ends, but you get 2 more tries, right? Or 1 more try, 6, and then you just get a 7. Well, you just add the score for the new game. You start another game and you play 1 ball off of it and you add that score. And pin golf, you don't count extra balls or anything like that. Each ball is a stroke. So that's how it works. So if you're playing somebody and you've got, you know, if you have a small collection of games, what you want to do is have a par. You know, play around with the game a little bit and get a feel for what you think is going to be a good goal for each game. Usually it's score based, but it could be something else, right? Could be knock all this target down or get to this mode or something like that. And that way, now you've got a fun way of getting other people to play. And if you're playing against somebody who's less experienced, then you just say, all right, look, I'm going to give you a 2-stroke lead. So you know you can drop -2 off of your score, and whoever has the lowest score wins. Now, here's where pin golf can be even more fun too. You can make it a cooperative team event. So you can have teams of players. Let's say you've got 4 people and you want to do a team base, 2 people against 2 people. This is good to have an experienced person bundled with a non-experienced player, because there's incentive for the experienced player to help the inexperienced player because they're on the same team. Now, in sanctioned events, this is not allowed, because in sanctioned events there's no team scores. Everything is individual. So you won't see like an IFPA event that's a team event unless at the end of the day it's whoever has the best score, lowest score wins. In that case, even when maybe they're giving a trophy for a team event, but they're still going to be ranking people individually, so there's some incentive for even people on the same team to not cooperate. So that's one of the kind of downsides of the sanctioned playing, is it's always ranked individually. But in a casual setting, you can hold a pin golf tournament, and you can have it be team-based, and whichever team has the lowest score is the winner. And so then you have an inexperienced person motivated to help his teammate hit the objective on the game. So it's a fun way of playing pinball, and it's different. So here's an example. This is a tournament we ran a while back. It's the Pin Golf Open 2014. This is quite a while ago. So these were the games that we used. We had Jacks to Open. The par was 250,000. South Park was 30 million. Whitewater was 45 million. Flash Gordon was 300,000. Roller Games was 3 million. Gilligan's Island was 4 million. I mean, if you have any of these games and you're relatively good, you might go, this is really, really easy. But it just depends on how the game is set up. We were encouraging a lot of casual people to play. You'll see here that there's a game 1 score. So like on South Park, that's going to be a 3-ball game. I guess you can put them on 5 balls. Some of them you might not be able to. But if you play a 3-ball game and then you're out, you just start another 3-ball game, but you indicate what the score was of this one, and you're going for the par until you hit the 30 million. You add up this and to the second score, and then if you don't hit it, you don't hit it. But this is the form that we use, where we have, if there's more than one game, you write the previous game score down to add to the current score to see if you hit the par, final number of strokes or balls, and then here's where you write the objective. I don't know what points needed was. I'm having trouble remembering that. But this was an actual IFPA sanctioned event. So this was an individual one. But this could also be a team event too. And it's a fun game, and I encourage other people to try it. It's called Pin Golf. And it's just one of the many ways that you can kind of increase the enjoyment of playing pinball and get more casual people interested in playing. So try it sometime and let me know what you think of it. Be sure to like this video, leave some comments, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, YouTube/PinballHelp. And until next time, thanks for watching.